professional dog trainer. I live in Utah, and I'm excited to be here and answer all of your training questions. Just a reminder, if this is your first time joining, when you enter into the chat, it just says Facebook user. So make sure you put your name and your state or country so that I can enter you into the drawing for a free bag of training treats. So we'll usually do the drawing depending on how many people we get tonight, usually around between 7 and 7:30. And then if we get a lot of questions, I'm happy to stay on until 8 o'clock at night. Hey, Julie, and answer questions. So as log on, I'm just going to write names down. And I know where you guys are from. So, hello, Emily. Oh, thank you for asking. Funny you should ask. So Jade had surgery on her foot, and she already chewed her stitches out. So today I had to go get her a cone, and she was not a happy camper. And so I have her with me tonight, and I have to keep an eye on her so that I took the cone off, but I have to let it breathe. I was keeping it wrapped, but it's got to breathe. So if you see me turning around or telling her to leave her foot alone, that's why. Kind of giving her a break from the cone, and so I'm watching her. But I actually think it might be infected, so I started her on antibiotics again, and we'll see how it is tomorrow. I might have to take her in and see, but she's the worst patient in the world. Like trying to keep her from licking her foot, chewing her stitches, taking her booty off, and then when I put the cone on, she pouts, and starts to like shake because she thinks that I'm torturing her. So it's been really fun, and we have one more week that we have to go before she gets her stitches out. So anyway, if you see me like continually looking back or getting after her, that's why. So Anthony, welcome. So I kind of have this running joke with the guys at Pupford when I email them every week, like who the winner is for the free training treats. I said, just so you guys know, it's always like the whole group has been women. I don't know if you guys have noticed that, but I said, now we know like who does all the dog training and who takes care of the dogs, because the last 2 weeks we've had all women and like no men. So Anthony, I am very glad that you're joining us, and feel free to ask questions. We're happy to have you. So I was going to get a soft cone, but when I put it on her, I took her to Petco and tried it. I thought, she's still going to be able to get to her foot. So I ended up getting the hard cone, but it just snapped, so I can take it on and off really, really easy. So yeah, she's not thrilled. And I was going to get the donut, but then she was still able to get back and get to her foot. But it's been such a hassle. I just thought, I'm just going to have to go for the cone as much as she hates it, and tough it out for another week. So yeah, I haven't put her collar. I mean, it's tight enough to where like she can't slip it off, but she just won't move. Like she'll just lay there and shake. She won't eat with it on. She won't go potty. She just acts like she's being tortured, so I have to take it off. So I did bring her tonight just so I could watch her. So far she's being good, but she's going to have it on tonight so that we can sleep. Hi, Monique. And then, so last night, so I literally, she had her foot wrapped, and then I had a booty on to keep it dry. And then I had the Coban bandaging stuff that sticks to itself. I actually duct tape once, and I duct taped the booty to her leg, and she could still get it off. Like she'll just lick and lick and lick, And then in the middle of the night, Maddie decides to start chewing on an elk antler. But it was a good thing that I woke up because Jade had her booty off. So I had to rebandage her last night in the middle of the night. So I finally decided we're just going to go do the comb thing. And kind of glad we did because it needs to breathe. I can't keep it bandaged. So anyway, hello, Gargamouse. If you want to put in your name and where you're from, I can enter you into the drawing. So we'll do a drawing for a free bag of training treats. Yep, that's why I had to switch back. I had to do the cone too. I really wanted to get the donut because I figured it'd be less inhibiting. But yeah, I had to do the cone. And I had the guy at Petco help me, and he said, yeah, I think she's going to be able to get to it with the soft cone. So we went ahead and went for the hard one. But I just like the Velcro. I like fast and easy. So okay, Tennessee. I have a friend that's living in Tennessee right now. Oh, yeah, I guess I should put your real name. I have a friend living in Tennessee right now and loving it, and it's on my bucket list to go visit them someday. So, okay, does anybody have any training questions? So, just so you guys know, we're kind of doing a Sanjita, welcome back. We are filming some training videos right now. The owner's friend got a new puppy, so they decided to video like what a whole training session would be like 4 to 5 weeks, like in-home training sessions. So kind of like, what Zach does, but it's not a 30-day thing. It's just like, it's a once a week, just like I would do with a normal puppy. So we talk about socialization, all that. So we had to cancel last week because of the weather, but I finally got new tires. So we are going to, I think, film tomorrow. So that will be coming out at some point in the future for you guys. Okay, Sanjita, how to stop my puppy from biting on the leash? Okay, great question. So I do teach a drop it. So what I will do is if the dog, see, where's my little dog? If the dog has the leash in its mouth, and pretend like this is the leash, then I'll take a treat and put it like right in front of the nose and say, drop it. And then when they drop the leash for the treat, that's when I click and then give the treat. However, dogs are very smart, and they will learn that, if I grab the leash and then drop it, I get a treat. So I only give a treat while I'm teaching the cue drop it. And then oftentimes what I will do, especially with dogs that I'm walking for clients, sometimes the dogs will grab onto the leash because they want to play tug and they get excited and they start to grab the leash. So what I do is I stop and do drop it, and then I don't engage in tug. We don't walk. Nothing happens until he drops the leash, and then I'll say, okay, good boy, and then we start walking again. So first I would teach a drop it, and then reward the drop it, and then just don't engage while he's got the leash in his mouth. Another thing, some dogs love to have something in their mouth all the time. So if you have a dog that is always wanting to have the leash, then teach him to carry something else. So you can let him carry a tennis ball on a walk, or a stick, or a bone, or something like that. I've done that before too, where dogs just always have to have something in their mouth. When I worked in rescue, we did have dogs that would chew on the leash, and they actually chewed through the leash at one time. So I started kind of spraying bitter apple on the leash. But some dogs just want to engage in tug, and it's just kind of a play thing. So I just stop and nothing fun happens. And then when they let go of the leash, then we resume the walk again. So really good question. Monique, Luna is going through her first heat cycle. Should I pause training? She just doesn't seem as treat motivated right now. Yeah, you can. I mean, you can still do like some basic stuff that you would just incorporate into your everyday, like, sit and wait for food, wait at the door to go out. You can work on leash walking if you're, going on walks. I would still try to do some kind of enrichment during the day, like snuffle mat or, puzzle toys or something like that, which she may not do if she's not treat motivated, but it'll still like get her brain working. So, but yeah, you can pause for a little bit if she doesn't seem really treat motivated. Another thing that you can do is use something other than treats. So like if she likes to chase balls or she really likes praise and affection, you can use that instead of the treat. So you can still do some training. You can just substitute and do something different other than treats. Okay, Tracy is asking, my stray dog was abused before I rescued him and he barks at everyone nonstop. Is there any hope for him to be at ease around strangers? Yes, definitely. So when dogs bark at, like, does he bark at other people, other dogs, or both? And really, it doesn't matter. The training's going to be the same. So it's probably coming from a place of fear because he was abused. And what we need to do is change his emotional response as to how he feels towards strangers. So usually when I do consults for this kind of stuff, it's like a 90-minute in-depth thing. So I'm going to just give you the short answer. But you can, like, you could go sit in a parking lot, and whenever he sees a person like walking into a store or out of a store, you can treat. And then when the person, so let's say somebody gets out of their car and is going into a grocery store, you're in your car, and it's like, oh, there's a person, hot dog, hot dog, hot dog, hot dog. I actually use this Pepford salmon treats for this because I feel like they're high value. They're smellier. Dogs love them. And then when the person goes into the store and disappears, then the treats stop. Then if somebody walks out, I start treating. The dog doesn't have to do anything. We're just making that association that stranger equals treat. And then when the person gets in their car and drives away, the treats stop. So we call that open bar, closed bar. So open bar means there's a stranger, treats fall from the sky. And you can use like hot dogs, boiled chicken, bacon, like something really high value though. Because we don't want the dog to associate, oh, they're strangers. Oh, I'm just getting milk bones. I don't like strangers because I just get milk bones. So we want it to be high value. So that's kind of the easiest one where the dog doesn't really have to do anything. But then you can also work up to where you can ask strangers to just toss treats to the dog. So I did have a dog that was abused before I got him, and I had to be really careful because if he was scared and somebody tried to pet him, he would nip, like he would like snap at them. So I would just ask people to toss treats to him, and I would just say, he's a rescue, he was abused. I don't want you to get bit, but could you please just toss treats to him? And so that way, in the dog's mind, it's like, oh, there's a stranger and they're tossing treats to me. So I like strangers. You always want to give your dog the option to move away. So we don't ever want to make a fearful dog approach somebody if they don't want to. So if it seems like he's calm, you can ask people, once they've tossed treats and he seems to kind of be like into it, maybe tail wag, then I will have them just put their hand out with a treat and see if the dog wants to take a treat out of their hand. If he doesn't, don't make him. Just let him be like, nope, I'm not comfortable with that yet. But then if he does take the treat, great. Let him take the treat and let him back away. I always tell people, don't try to pet him. Just let him take a treat out of your hand. If he's not comfortable with that, and if you don't know what he's going to do with strangers, for liability reasons, we don't want him biting anybody. I would just have, have random people toss treats to your dog, or you could have neighbors help, or, family members, things like that. And then, that's usually the first thing we do, is just change that emotional response. And then really important is to let him decide what he's comfortable with, how close he wants to get, whether he wants to take a treat or not. If you have that person saying, oh, it's okay, dogs love me, I'm the dog whisperer, it's like, no, that's okay, my dog might bite you. Because that's usually the person that's going to rush up and also, dogs that are fearful don't like you reaching over their head. So what I do, I'll kind of show you with Jade, even though she's being very good and calm right now. Gotta get a treat. So let's say Jade's a fearful dog, which she's not. I'm gonna hold out my hand and see if she wants to take a treat. And then I'll just kind of start to like pet under the chin like that and not reach over her head. So if the dog backs away, then great, let him back away. If he doesn't back away, then just have them like gently scratch under the chin. And that's where I would start. And then we can kind of work up from there and do other things. But first we have to teach the dog that, and always set your dog up for success, because we don't want an abused dog to have any negative interactions with people. So, we always want to like set up training sessions so that, that nobody's going to like rush up to him or try to pet him if he doesn't like it. So just go really slow. And the first thing I would do is just make that association, strangers equal treats. And you can do it on walks. You can sit in a parking lot somewhere. And where people are going to be coming and going. And then once he gets a little bit better, like you could practice at a place like Home Depot, because the staff there usually is really good about, if you say, hey, would you just like toss treats to him? They're always really helpful when it comes to like helping train dogs. So yeah, I hope that helps. I would start there. And then depending on the age of the dog and how anxious he gets around other people, sometimes I'll have clients visit their vet for some like anti-anxiety meds, just to kind of help bring their threshold down so that they can learn and so that we can change their emotional response. Otherwise, if they're like always anxious and always reacting, then it's hard for them to be in that learning mode. So, but that's something that you would talk to your vet about. Sanjita, yep, that's what my puppy does. So I had somebody right before I came here, a client emailed me and said, our puppy's doing really good, but he's counter surfing, and because he knows that if he jumps up, then we tell him off and he gets a treat. So now he does it on purpose. And I'm like, yeah, I only treat, Miss Sandal, I'm going to kind of answer your question, part of it, with the counter surfing. So with counter surfing and like leash biting, I'll teach like an off or a drop it. And then I will put the treat right in front of their nose. And then for counter surfing, I lure them off and then I click and treat right when they get off. But a lot of dogs will then jump back up and think, oh, I jump up. They tell me off, I get a treat. So I only treat for the first little bit. Sometimes Jade will jump up on the counter if she thinks there's something good up there. And I'll have to say, hey, off. And then as soon as she gets off, I'm like, oh, yeah, good girl. So I don't give her a treat every time, but I do give her a lot of praise and tell her what a good girl she is. but she doesn't get a treat every time. The other thing that you can do, okay, so for the rest of your question, what you want to do is environmental management first. So what that means is if you're not going to be in the room and you know the puppy's going to jump up on something, then you want to make sure that nothing's left on the counters, because if the dog jumps on the counters and gets to steal something, then it's reinforcing. If they jump up and there's nothing ever there that they can get, then they're not going to do it because it's not reinforcing, and nothing ever comes of it. What I do is if I'm in the kitchen and I'm like, I don't cook, so but I can make protein drinks. But if I'm in the kitchen and I have stuff out, I will put my dogs in a sit and I'll say, okay, sit. And then they sit while I'm doing whatever. And then they get a reward for sitting and not jumping up on the counter. So before they even have the chance to jump, I put them in a sit. And then they know, okay, if we sit while mom makes her protein drink, then we'll get a treat. And then I will reward them for that. But yeah, for stuff like leash biting and counter surfing, I only treat the first couple times while I'm teaching the cue, and then I just use praise, because yeah, the dogs will learn that, oh, I keep doing it and I keep getting a treat. So yeah, another thing you can do that goes kind of along with environmental management is I have a baby gate that goes into my kitchen, and I haven't always had that, but I have a dog that's got IMHA, so she's on prednisone, and she literally can break into cupboards and eat. She will get into the garbage, which she never used to do. So now when I'm not home, I had to put up a baby gate just to keep her out of that area. So you can always manage your environment. So if I go out of the kitchen, I close the baby gate so she can't go in and get in the garbage. So it's just kind of a matter of setting it up and managing your environment so that behavior is never reinforced. So like not leaving things on the counter. You can eventually, depending on how old your dog is, you can start teaching to leave it. And I do that, and then I'll start with my dogs because they're not puppies anymore. I will leave food like right on the coffee table, and I'll say leave it, and then I'll walk out of the room and come right back. And if they left it, then I reward them with something better for leaving it. I don't leave it for like an hour because I don't think they would leave it, but we start with just out and in. I've left it for like 30 seconds before, like going into the kitchen, getting something, coming back, and they're still sitting there staring at it. So I will reward them for that. So you can start to do leave it and then start to build up time that they leave it. And then make sure that when you reward, the reward is better than what you're asking them to leave. So if you start with like food, use something low value. Obviously, if you leave like a prime rib, the dog might be like, I will risk getting in trouble to eat that prime rib. So I don't start with stuff like that. But yeah, that's what I would do. So manage your environment first, and then teach your dog a good sit stay while you're in the kitchen. And even if you have to leave, put them in a stay, because if they're in a stay, then they're not jumping on the counter. If they're in a sit stay or a down stay, they're not jumping up. And then make sure you reward that sit stay or down stay. Okay, Destiny, what is the best way to teach heel? Great question. So what I do is I will put the dog right by my side, and I will say, heel, take one step, ask the dog to sit, click and treat. We'll do one step for a few times, and then we'll do two steps. So then I'll get the dog seated beside me. It's different than loose leash walking. So heel like is the formal by my side. Then I'll have him look at me. I'll say heel. We'll go 1, 2. I stop, sit, and then treat. Click and treat. I like my dogs to sit sit automatically when I stop walking. So I will ask them to sit while we're learning it, and then eventually, as we're when we're walking, when I stop, they will sit. Usually, like I'll kind of exaggerate both my feet coming together, and then the dog knows that they're supposed to sit. And then I do 1 step at a time until I get up to 10 steps. And then we'll do like 10 steps, but I'll keep the dog engaged, like watch me. Sometimes I'll do touch, like right by my side, just to keep the dog really engaged right by my side. And then when I stop, I ask them to. So that's kind of how I do it. I know that other trainers sometimes will drop treats like right in front of the dog, first every step and then maybe every 2 steps, just to keep the dog's like nose to the ground and staying by your side, rather than like looking what's in front of them and wanting to pull. I do that, but I kind of do that more for loose leash walking than the actual heel. So with heel, I actually go like 1 step at a time. Okay, I should figure out if there's a way, I don't know on here if there's a way to share my screen. I'm in the process of redoing all my training videos, so I don't know if I have a good one on heel yet, but I'll see if there's a way that I can like share my video, maybe next time. So we've been having really bad weather here this week, so it's not been a good day to go out and videotape heel anyway. So, but yeah, I basically just get the dog to look at me and I go 1 step, sit, and then heel, 2 steps, sit. If I stay at like 2 or 3 steps until the dog can do it perfect before I go on to 4 steps. So it's just like teaching the dog step by step how to stay right by your side and then sit. And then they do pick it up. So it's not like you have to do like keep going 1 step until you get to a mile. It'll take forever. They do eventually learn like what heel means. Now, if I say heel and the dog starts to pull, then I turn and change direction and we start over, and I just say, oh, try again. And then we will try it again. Okay, Julie, I started to train Dakota to give kisses for when my daughter has one of her meltdowns. Is there any way I can teach her to give hugs, or is that just teaching her to jump up on people? No, actually, my dog Piglet, I taught him how to give hugs. So I'm trying to teach Jade, but she doesn't quite have it yet. So what I did with my dog, and you're really not teaching them to jump, because you give permission for the dog to give hugs. So what I did with my dog is I would get down and I would just say, like, give me hugs. And he it was easy to teach him because he kind of like crawled up anyway. But I'll just kind of like lure him up. Like you can lure him up with a treat. And then when he's got a paw on your shoulder, you can click and treat. And then 2 paws on your shoulder, click and treat. And then I would just kind of like pet him. And then when his head would go down, I would click and treat. And so I kind of shaped it. And then eventually I could just say, give me hugs. And then he would like just climb up, put his paws here, put his head down. And then if I didn't say, give me hugs, if he jumped, then I would just turn my back and say, oh, sit. Or like, oh, I didn't ask you for that. So yeah, you can definitely teach that. And then you can start training. So when your daughter's having a meltdown, you can say like, oh, Dakota, go give her hugs. And you can even like lure Dakota like up to her shoulders, like from behind. So you're luring him up. And And then eventually the cue for Dakota will be when she has a meltdown, that's when I give hugs. So then after a while, you won't need to like name it and say, like, give her hugs. He'll just know that that's the cue. When she has a meltdown, I give hugs. So yeah, I would absolutely do that. Another good one we do is like lap. So you can teach Dakota to like lay over your daughter's lap. And so just that deep kind of pressure therapy can help people calm down. So we use that a lot. The other thing that goes along with kind of the hugs is there's one called heart to heart, where you can do it standing or laying down, where the dog's heart is over the person's heart, and the dog's heart rate will actually slow the human's heart rate down. So you could do hugs that way and just make sure that Dakota's heart is over your daughter's heart. And then he's obviously going to be calmer than, or her, sorry. She is going to be calmer than your daughter. So her heart rate is going to help lower your daughter's heart rate. So I think teaching hugs is a great thing. And you can call it give hugs. When I'm teaching it, I just call it heart. But actually, I think teaching hugs would be that's a good cue. So yeah, Piglet kind of just did it. Like he would just climb up in your lap and want to hug you. So then I just put it on cue. With Jade, she likes to come up, but then she just wants to lick your face, which is fine. But she also eats cat poop, so I don't let her lick my face all that often anymore. But I would like her to just put her paws on and then just rest her head. So that's still work in progress. But yeah, I think you could totally do that. Okay, Anthony. Yay, we have a question from a male. I was telling Anthony when he first got on, hi Cindy, I'm going to add you. It seems like every week we have all women on the in the live Q&A. We always have women. So I was so excited to see Anthony join us. Okay, I'm going to add Cindy. While I'm adding, I'm going to add Valeria. Valeria, where are you from? So I can add you to the drawing. Okay. My husky pulls a lot on his walks. I use harness. When he pulls, I stop and make him sit. But then when we continue, he pulls again. Okay, so what kind of harness are you using? If you use a back harness, actually, I'm going to use Jade. Okay, Jade had a trazodone earlier to keep her from licking her foot, so she's a little kind of like tired, but I'm going to use her anyway. So, Jade, come here. Come here. I know. Come over here. I know you're tired, huh? You're sleepy. Okay, so if you have a back clip harness that clips back here, those promote pulling. So when you're pulling on the leash, and I actually have her clipped in back, but she's not pulling right now. But when they feel the pressure on their chest, that makes them pull more. So I like to use a front clip harness. This is actually a freedom harness. And so then if the dog pulls, it is going to turn her back towards me. Okay. So this is going to like help with the pulling. Okay, you can go back to sleep. So if you're using a back clip harness, I would trade it for a front clip, either an easy walk, or I like the freedom harness the best. The reason I like the freedom harness is because it clips in the front and the back. So for big, strong dogs, you have more control. But then it's still clipped in the front, and if the dog pulls, it turns them back towards you. So they literally like can't pull. The other thing that I do is you can stop. So one method is the stop and go game. So tight leash means we stop and then wait for them to sit. or give you a loose leash and then we go again. I feel like that one takes longer. So I like to change direction. And right now I'm talking about just loose leash walking. I'm not talking about like a formal heel. So if the dog starts to pull this way, I turn and go the other way. And so the dog has to turn and catch up. And then when the dog's catching up and is right by my side, I click and treat and reward when they're right by my side. And then if the dog bolts out in front again, then I change direction. So I tell people, you have to make sure that you're in the mindset that this is a training walk. We're not on your dog's going to get exercise because he's going to be constantly running and catching up. But for you, it's a training walk. But dogs get tired of constantly changing direction and catching up. And so they learn to kind of just stay by your side. And then they stop pulling, especially if you click and treat when they're right by your side. Then they learn, oh, this is where all the good stuff happens. This is where I get treats. This is also where I use the drop the treat method. So I'll start to drop treats right in front of the dog just to get them to slow down. And at first I will do it every step. And then I'll do it like every 2 steps, every 3 steps. So I'm dropping treats. It gets them focused. It gets them slowing down because they're picking up the treats. But they learn to like not pull and not go so fast. And then we start to pace out the treats. If you have a dog that likes to sniff and explore, I will use that as a reinforcer. So in my mind, I'll say, okay, we're going to walk from here to that tree. And if you can do that without pulling, then, and I'm saying this in my mind, like not to the dog because he's not going to understand, but we'll walk from like here to the tree. And then if the dog does really well at not pulling, then I'll say, good job, good job. And I will let them go sniff that snowbank, go sniff that tree. I might even throw treats in the snow and say, go hunt. So they get to have a fun game and a fun reward for not pulling and walking by my side. So there's a dog that I walk 3 days a week. We do training walks, and he loves to sniff the snow and snowbanks, but he's also 110 pounds and he's really strong. So I will put him in a heel and have him walk by my side, and if he goes to pull, I'll just say and he is on a freedom harness, so he can't like pull me too much. But then as soon as he walks like so many feet, then I'll say, okay, go sniff. And then I let him go sniff the snowbank as a reward for not pulling. So I kind of do a combination of dropping treats, changing direction, and then using things in the environment as a reinforcer. So like letting him go sniff, letting him have a little bit of freedom. Since he is on the freedom harness too, another one that I will do is, since it clips in the front and the back, if he's walking really, really good, then I'll unclip the back, and that gives him a longer leash, and then I give him a little bit more freedom to sniff and explore and be a dog as long as he's not pulling me. So I do let dogs like sniff and kind of explore their environment, but they can't pull. If he starts to pull, then he goes back on the front and back clip. So hopefully that made sense. So there's a couple of different things you can do with that. Sorry, I forgot to take my blood pressure pill at 5 o'clock, so I just remembered. Okay, let's see, Valeria, I'm getting a puppy very soon. Congratulations. What do you recommend teaching her first? So first, I would give her a couple of days to acclimate and get used to her new surroundings, but I would start right off with potty training and crate training. Crate training is really important, and it's going to help with potty training. I also like to get the dogs set up on a schedule. Dogs like structure and predictability, and if they don't have that, they will just make up their own rules. So I do puppy board and train, and so what I will do is I won't really train them the first 2 days, but we get on a schedule. So it's like, okay, I'm going to let you out of your crate at this time. You're going to go potty. Then we're going to come in and we're going to eat. And then after you eat, you can play with the other dogs, and we're going to go outside and go potty again. So I start with potty training, crate training, and I get them on a schedule. And then I will teach them the name game. So I'll just play the name game. So saying their name one time, like, well, Jade's asleep, so I'll show you with her. And get a treat and a clicker ready. Jade, yes, good girl. So I just say her name one time, and when she looks at me, I click and treat. Jade, yes, good girl. Now let's say she doesn't look at me and is like, oh, I'm chewing my bone or I'm doing something else. Then I won't say her name again because I don't want her to think that her name is Jade. I'll just say it once, but then I'll go, I'll make noises, do something, and then when she looks, I click and treat. Okay, you can go back to sleep. Thank you. That was a very good girl. So I would start with structure, get on a schedule, start potty training, crate training, and do the name game. And then you can start doing training. And then I would start to add in some socialization. So that doesn't necessarily mean with other dogs. That means like, handle the ears, handle the paws, handle the tail, teeth, get them used to walking on different floor surfaces, introduce them to the vacuum. You want everything they do to be really positive. Because when they're new puppies under 16 weeks, their brains are like sponges. So you want everything to be positive. So depending on what your lifestyle is, like if you're into bikes, introduce to a bike first without it moving. Like skis. I always get my dogs used to kayaks because I kayak. And then just kind of do like introductions, like, oh, here's a broom, here's a treat, like here's the vacuum, here's a treat. I also do sound socialization, so I'll use apps or YouTube or something that I can control the volume, and I'll start doing like thunderstorms and fireworks and dogs barking, but I do it at a really slow volume. And as soon as they hear the sound, then I start to treat, and when the sound stops, the treat stop. Then I turn it up just a little bit. So I very gradually increase the volume. So I do sound desensitization and socialization as well. So yeah, I would start with those things, and then you can start doing the 30-day perfect pup stuff. But I like to do the socialization first, schedule, potty training, crate training, and then name game. Because if your dog is not paying attention to you, they're not going to pay attention if you ask them to sit, stay, down. So first I teach them that paying attention to their name is good and makes good things happen, which is the treats. Okay, really good question. Also, I know I did a podcast with Pupford at one time, so I'm sure it's still on the website or the Facebook page. And it's on like when you first bring your dog home, what are the first things you could do? And we kind of go into that in detail, so you could check that out as well. Okay, Cindy. Joey is peeing in the house where his pee pad was. Andy tore it up, so we can't use. Let's see, we walk and he cries wolf going by door, like has to go potty, but doesn't when we take him out. So with pee pads, like sometimes, yeah, they kind of learn that that's where they go. And it sounds like he hasn't really developed a substrate preference yet, meaning that he hasn't he doesn't know now, since he's been going on the pee pad, then going outside on grass or dirt or something is totally new to him. So I would start over with potty training as if he wasn't potty trained. So, and that means crating him if you can't watch him, or tethering him to you. Like, I've been tethering Jade to me just so she won't chew her foot. Not because of potty, but just so I can keep an eye on her. So I would tether Joey to you, or put him in a crate, and then take him out, walk him around on leash until he goes. As soon as he squats or starts to go, it's like, yes, good dog, good job, and then give him a treat. If he doesn't go outside, then he goes back in the crate. If he does go outside, then you can give him some free roam. If you don't catch him peeing in the house, there's really nothing you can do but clean it up. But if you catch him, like then starting to pee, then it's like, and then immediately take him outside and tell him to go potty. And when you go outside, it shouldn't be a fun, like, I get to sniff everything and I'm going to forget to go potty because I'm too busy exploring my environment. For dogs that were potty training, I take them out on leash and just walk around and just keep saying, go potty, go potty. And they don't get the freedom to run around and do what they want until they go potty. So you may have to kind of start over, unfortunately, with potty training without the pee pads, to teach him, this is where I want you to go now. You're going to go on the grass or in the snow or wherever you want him to go. And then reward him for going in that area. So praise and a treat. And then if he doesn't go outside, then he has to go back in the crate, because he's probably not going to pee in his crate. So if he doesn't go outside and him in, you could tether him to you and then catch him. So then, if you catch him going potty, then you can interrupt him, take him immediately outside. So yeah, I would do that. Tracy, he is so nervous that the vet has to give him anxiety medication during his visit. Yeah, I was just going to ask if how he is at the vet. So I had a client today. We did like a virtual consult, and she has a rescue, and the rescue's like really afraid of people. And so they were going to have their first vet visit tomorrow. And she said, what should I do? And I said, just tell the vet he's a rescue. He's really nervous around people. And they may want to do anti-anxiety meds. They may muzzle him. So yeah, another thing that I would try, if you have any in your area, and I'm all for like giving anxiety medicine just to calm him down for the visit. But if they have to like muzzle or restrain him or things like that, sometimes that can make dogs more anxious. So I usually will recommend like a fear-free certified vet. So that means that they're certified in fear-free handling. They go really slow. They go at the dog's pace. And they may still muzzle, but they'll get the dog used to the muzzle. They won't just like put it on and then restrain the dog. So for dogs that are really fearful of people and nervous at the vet, you can like, I think if you go to fearfree.com, you could put in your zip code and find out if there's any fear-free certified vets in your area. And I just love what they do, because they just go nice and slow and calm and make it easy for the dog. Okay. Smitha, am I saying that right? Okay, well, I'm reading your question. I'm going to write Julie down from Georgia. Okay. My golden doodle 5 months is still biting me a lot, and recently she started to cringe and bite and come running to you and bite. Jade, leave your foot alone. Jade, no. Leave your foot alone. Sorry. I kind of gave a disclaimer at the beginning that I might, so Jade had surgery on her foot, and she keeps trying to chew out her stitches. This is the first day that we've not bandaged it, and I did take her cone off because she acted like I was just torturing her today. But I do have to make sure she's not licking it and chewing it. So let me think about that for a minute, because so this is what I would do. Is she running at you playfully and being mouthy and biting, or is it like an aggressive run and bite? Either way, what I would do is, if your dog bites you the first time, that's strike one, and you redirect to a toy. So it's like, you can't bite me, but here, you can chew on this, and I will give you this to chew on, and I'll even put some treats and stuff in here that you can try and get out. If the dog doesn't want it and goes back and bites you a second time, then you calmly put them in a crate with a toy. We do the toy so that the crate's not negative, and they get a 1 to 2 minute timeout just to chill out, decompress, and then let him out. If he bites you a third time, then it's back in the crate with a toy. Cover the crate. You can, if it's hot where you are, turn a fan on, and the dog gets a 1 hour nap, and you get a break. So that's what I would do, whether it's just play biting. If it's aggressive biting, you may need to work with a trainer, because that's a lot more serious. But at 5 months, I would think that it's still just puppy biting. And usually about 5 months is where they start losing their baby teeth. And I have seen some puppies where they kind of like cringe and bite, but it's still playfully. But still, they have such sharp teeth. So I will just redirect to a toy, or put them in a crate, and let them chill out, and then I'll cover the crate and they get a nap. So they're like that child that, how kids, when they're really, really tired and right before they crash, they just are out of control. It's kind of like that. It's it's time for a nap. So I would try that. You could also try something like a rope toy, just because I think it's soft and it gives the dog something to sink their teeth into. You could flirt pole, because then you're standing up and your hands are far away from the dog's mouth, but the dog is chasing the toy on the end. And then you can, it teaches impulse control. The dog has to sit and wait before you throw it. And then you can teach an out, or a drop it. And then you get the toy again, and then the dog sits and waits, and then you throw it out again. So that could teach a drop it. It's a good way to engage with the dog and let them get some energy out without your hands being right there. So you could try that as well. I use flirt poles a lot, especially for puppies that bite. I had one client that I went to his house, and he had the cutest little blue-nosed pit bull, but man, I left and my hands were bleeding in a couple spots, because that little puppy had razor sharp teeth. And finally, because we were talking and the puppy was just relentless, I did put the puppy in a crate. I'm like, okay, he's going to go in a crate for a minute so we can talk without him biting constantly. Okay, let's see. Cindy, can't tether him all day. Don't want to crate him more. You live in a 2-story townhome and then have to walk to grass to potty. I mean, that's going to be a tough one. I mean, here's the thing: is if if he potties in the house, like he's getting reinforced for it. And if you don't catch him, then he's just going to learn that he can potty in the house. So really your only option is to tether him so that you can catch him, so that you can interrupt him to take him out. Or if you can't, then you crate him. But if he learns that once I go potty outside, then I get freedom in the house. Whereas if he doesn't go potty outside, he gets put in a crate. So, and yeah, if he cries wolf just to go out, but then he doesn't go potty, I would put him back in the crate. And so he only is going to get to go outside, or he's only going to get like free roam. And I would maybe, like, if he's crying wolf to go out, it sounds like he needs more stimulation, more stuff to do. So I would maybe start doing snuffle mat with him, flirt pull, puzzle toys, problem solving, treat dispensing toys, like things like that, just to kind of get his brain moving and his nose working and maybe tire him out so he's not always just like crying to go outside. Because it sounds like he wants to go outside for the stimulation, to go out and do something, but not to actually go potty. And sorry, we're having a storm here, and I keep getting this little message that says sometimes the connection's not great. So if it cuts out a little bit, that's probably why, and it'll be back. So Tracy, they do use a muzzle. Yeah, and that's pretty common for dogs that are really fearful and nervous and bite. They will use a muzzle. We had to use them a lot. And they're not bad, but muzzles definitely are not bad. I recommend muzzles with a lot of clients, but I get dogs used to them, and I put peanut butter to where the dog's actually putting his nose in the muzzle because there's peanut butter in that. So like I'm not forcing the muzzle on the dog, but the dog's sticking his nose in the muzzle to get him used to it. But yeah, we used to use them all the time. I mean, we had to, or we would get bit a lot. Okay, let me scroll up. So if it's aggressive run and bite, I would probably recommend that you start working with a trainer, because we definitely don't want that behavior to continue. Because if it's already aggressive at 5 months, it's just going to get worse. You can always teach the dog what you want him to do instead. So, like, stand up, walk away, ignore that behavior, but then put your dog in a downstay. Or teach the dog something to do instead, or redirect. Oftentimes, if a dog is really in that bitey, mouthy, but not aggressive, but in a bitey, mouthy stage, then a lot of times I'll use a snuffle mat and I'll just say, here, go hunt. Can you guys hear Jade? She's having a dream. She's making noises over there. At least she's asleep and not chewing her foot. So like redirect to something else, or teach the dog what you want them to do instead. So for something like that, if the dog's running up and being aggressive, I would teach like a go to your place, go to your mat, lay down and be calm and chill. So I would actually teach that as a replacement behavior to aggressively like running and biting. And if he doesn't yet know, a go to your place, then I would crate. I would put him in a crate and let him chill out and calm down for a little bit before you let him come out. Okay, I'm having a problem scrolling. Emily. Let's see. Let me write Emily down. My puppy just started getting scared during car rides. Not sure why. Yeah, sometimes dogs will, and it's either like an anxiety thing or sometimes it can be car sickness. Sometimes it can be like, because dogs learn by association. So let's say your dog's riding in the car and then they hear, like a garbage truck making a loud noise. Then all of a sudden they associate that with, oh my gosh, I'm scared of the car because I heard this really loud noise and I didn't know what it was. So there's a couple things you can do. I will sometimes, I do have a dog that does not like to ride in the car and she gets really anxious. So I actually put her in a crate. So she feels more safe, and it's like the airline crate so she can't see out. Because a lot of times when there's like stuff going by and people and cars, it can be a lot of stimulus for a dog. So I will use an airline crate. So with a bed, they just go in there, lay down. They can't see all the stuff whizzing by. And it helps just to keep her calm. So you can try that. Then you could just slowly start over like, oh, let's just go sit in the car. It's not going to be moving and I'm going to give you treats. So we're sitting in the car, nothing bad's happening, and you're getting hot dogs. And then you might like turn the car on, give treats, turn the car off. And then turn the car on, just back out a little bit, give treats, back in, turn the car off. So just take that act of driving in the car and break it into little teeny pieces, and don't go on to the next one until your dog is calm. So if your dog is just nervous sitting in the car, then I would like lure the dog in with hot dogs, but not even close the door yet. Like let the dog just get used to sitting on the seat, getting really good treats, but don't close the door yet. And then when the dog's calm, then you can like close the car door, open it, let him out if he wants to go. So just kind of getting used to that. If it's kind of like a motion sickness type things, which a lot of dogs do get sick during car rides, then your vet can give you like anti-anxiety kind of medication for car rides, so that it kind of just helps them to calm down a little bit during car rides. But for you, I think I would try the crate first and see if that helps, because that's kind of a quick, easy, cheap fix. And then at the same time you're doing that, then start to just slowly desensitize to the car ride outside of the crate. So, first, hey, we're just going to go sit in the car and I'm going to give you treats. We're not going to move. We're just going to sit in here and get treats. And then the next session, it's like, okay, now I'm just going to turn the car on. We're still not going to move. I'm going to give you boiled chicken or salmon treats or whatever. And then we're going to turn the car off and leave. And that's it for that session. And then you can like slowly build up. If your dog is still really nervous or scared, then I would see about maybe anti-anxiety meds, or like with my dog, I just know that forever she's going to have to ride in a crate in the car. Once we get to where we're going, she's fine. But literally, when we go hiking, if we're coming down the mountain, as soon as she sees the car, she'll turn around and run back up the hill. So I have to get her and leash her before she sees the car, because as soon as she sees the car, she's like, nope, not happening. I'm going the other way. So, and I've had her since she was 6 months old, and to my knowledge, she's never had a bad experience with the car. So I don't really know what it's about. I just crate her and she does fine in the crate. So we just do that. Okay. Let's see. I'm trying to scroll in. Oh, maybe that's all the questions we have. Emily, it's good to see you again. I haven't seen you in a while. We worked when Emily first got her puppy, she did some private sessions. So it's good to see you again virtually. Okay, another thing that you might try, Emily, is a thunder shirt. So I had a dog that would get really scared and nervous around, just certain, hey, leave your foot alone. Jade. So like during thunderstorms, fireworks, things like that. Like she didn't like riding in the car either. That was another dog. Jade, leave your foot alone. Thank you, good girl. She had to ride in a crate all the time. But for certain things, like when she would get scared, I would put a thunder shirt on her. And I just thought of that because somebody asked me about it today. I actually got one thinking, this is the most ridiculous thing. I can't believe that they're trying to sell these. So I was going to try it just to tell people, like, don't waste your money. It didn't work. And I'm not kidding. It worked. It was so awesome. When we had wind or thunder or fireworks, my dog would lose her mind. And then I would put the thunder shirt on her and she would lay right down on the bed and go to sleep. It was like I gave her drugs. But it was the most amazing thing. Now, I have had some clients say that it didn't work so well. So I guess it's going to be dog specific, but I can just tell you for my dog, it worked really, really well. Another thing you could try is a little bit of CBD oil before car rides, just to kind of help, lower that anxiety threshold. You could try that as well. Oh, I'm so glad that Yoshi's doing well. Yeah, other than the fear. And sometimes dogs will develop fears, like as they get a little bit older. So then we just do more like socialization or counter conditioning, which is changing his emotional response. So instead of like, I hate the car, I'm scared of the car, it's like, oh, I like to ride in the car because I get hot dogs. But you do want to be a little careful, which is why I start with not driving at first, because if he's scared and you're giving a lot of treats, like we don't want him to get car sick and throw up. So that's why I start with just sitting in the car getting treats. You can even like have him sit in the car and lick peanut butter off of a wooden spoon. And then just like turn the car on, let him lick peanut butter, and then turn the car off. And then just like drive from your driveway to the corner and then back. So make it like small, but really, really positive and really reinforcing in the car. Okay, I don't see any other questions. So why don't we go ahead and do the drawing? And if we don't have any other questions, we can end. And if we do have a few more, I'm happy to stay and answer questions. So I will be back next Wednesday, 6 o'clock Mountain Time. I will try to put something on in the morning. I'm always busy on Wednesday mornings. I have like standing clients Wednesday morning, so I always forget to post about the live on Wednesday night. So sorry about that. So I'm glad you guys came. But just know that we're here. I'm here every Wednesday, 6 o'clock Mountain Time, and we usually do the drawing around 7. Okay, so let me get all these mixed up, and we'll draw. Okay, so tonight's winner for the free training treats is Tracy Murray from Tennessee. So congratulations, Tracy. And Anthony, thank you for joining us among all the women. I'm so happy that you came. Please come back next week. I will. Oh, so Tracy, if you could email, I'm going to type it in right now, hello@pupford.com, and just let them know that you won the drawing for the free training treats. And then I will email them as well and tell them that you won, and they will send you a free bag of training treats. You can choose, let them know which flavor you want. So they have like the chicken, beef liver, salmon, rabbit, sweet potato. Anyway, I'm going to be seeing the owners tomorrow, and I actually ordered 20 bags of treats. So that's how much I use them. I go through a lot of training treats. So yeah, I'm buying 20 bags tomorrow. So, and oh, Anthony, yeah, you were using the back harness. And you know what's funny is I don't even know why companies make back clip harnesses, because it promotes pulling. So the only time you would ever want a back clip harness is if you have a dog, if you have like a sled dog that you want to pull, or like a joring dog or something that you want to pull you on skis. That's the only time I can think of that you would ever want a back clip harness. So I like the front clip because then it just redirects the dog. They can't pull. So yeah, check out the Freedom Harness. In fact, Pupford sells them now. So you can just get on their site and order it straight from them. Just make sure you measure like around the dog's girth. They are adjustable, but I love them. All my dogs have them. So, oh, Julie, you just got over your snowstorm. Yeah, so today I had to go to Park City, and it was a nightmare. I mean, the roads were so bad. And then I had to go back to Park City tonight, and it wasn't as bad. So it's kind of calmed down a little bit. So I'm home. I'm hoping. And luckily, my office here is just like a mile and a half from my house. So I don't have very far to go. So it should be fine. So, okay. Well, thank you everybody for joining, and we will see you next week. Have a great week.